Hello learners, so far we have learnt about theoretical aspects about the financial management, scope of finance manager's role and time value of money. Today we proceed further with the further application of time value of money for valuation of securities. As you know, securities is a collective noun. That means it represents equity shares, debentures, preference shares and bonds. We will begin today's lesson with the valuation of securities. This is the first lesson in this particular series of valuation of securities. In total, we will have 4 lessons about the valuation of securities. First 2 lessons will cover about the concept, and last 2 lessons of the valuation of securities will cover about the practice on valuation of securities. Now let us begin today's lesson with valuation of debentures and valuation of preference shares. As you know, debentures are also known as fixed income securities. So what I have bifurcated, valuation of securities is bifurcated into 2 parts, fixed income securities and fluctuating income securities. As we know, debentures and preference shares fall into the category of fixed income securities from the viewpoint of investor. Whenever an investor purchases debentures or preference shares, he is expecting a fixed income in the form of interest in case of debentures or bonds and dividend in case of preference shares. Remind you, on preference shares, dividend is paid at a fixed percentage subject to the availability of profit, and that too before it is paid to the equity shareholders. Then the second category of securities is fluctuating income securities, that is equity shares on which dividend is not assured. However, depending upon the level of profits, dividend might be declared by the company, and that too at a varying rate from year to year. So let us begin with the valuation of redeemable debentures. I hope you remember redeemable debentures are the one in which there is a provision for redemption of the debenture. That means to say, at the end of the maturity period, debenture holders will get back their invested amount or the capital invested in the debenture or principal amount. And there is a provision for interest payment year on year, generally yearly, but in many cases it may be half yearly also. So interest is paid by the company either half yearly or yearly. So we will be attempting the cases of yearly interest payment. So company will keep on paying interest year on year. That means to say, whenever a person is going to buy the debentures of a particular company, he is ready to pay the present value of future income likely to be generated from the debentures. Now what is the future income? Future income or the future amount of money which he gets by investing in debenture is number 1, interest amount. So every year the debenture holder will get the interest. Every year debenture holder will get the interest, and at the end of the maturity period he will get the maturity amount also. Therefore, in case of debentures, any investor who is likely to buy the debenture either from the company or in the market, he is ready to pay the present value of all the future interest payments which he will get from the company as well as the maturity amount. Therefore, price of a debenture which he is ready to pay is equal to present value of coupon payments or interest plus present value of maturity amount. So that's where value of a debenture is simply, you can capture it on the timeline also. Let us assume that a company has issued debentures of 5 years maturity. Today is the 0 time. So in first year, second year, third year, fourth year and in 5th year, that will be the timeline of the debenture. Every year investor will get interest. So I symbolize interest with the I. So that is the annual income which he is likely to get from the debenture. And at the end of 5th year, he is going to get the maturity value also. So in the 5th year, he is going to get the interest as well as maturity value. So simple concept, price of a debenture for an investor is equal to present value of all these amounts which he is likely to get in future. Now question comes, at what discount rate he should discount these amounts? So his discount rate will be expected rate of return or his cost of capital or his opportunity cost of capital. That's where we say price of a debenture is nothing but the present value of future flow of income as well as the maturity value likely to be received from the debenture. So we can calculate present value of debenture. As you can see, VD stands for value of debenture. I is the annual interest which he will be getting. Now since annual interest is same every year, let us assume 9% debentures of rupees 100 each is there. So every year investor will get rupees 9 year on year till the maturity date. So this 9 becomes like an annuity for a definite time period, that is the maturity period of the debenture. So I multiplied with future value interest factor for an annuity at a particular rate of interest. Now this rate of interest is investor's required rate of return, R, and N is the duration till which he gets the interest. M is the maturity value, and this maturity value comes at the end of the holding period of the debenture. So this will come only once, so we will multiply it with the present value interest factor at a particular rate of interest for nth period. That is how the formula works it out. Now let us see how the calculation goes about. As you can see, we have an illustration. 9% rupees 100 face value debenture having a provision for redemption at a premium of 5% at the end of 5 years is being traded in the market from the day 1. An investor has expected rate of return 15%. Suggest him at what price he should buy it. Now in this case, his interest income every year from this debenture, that is I, is equal to 9 per annum for a period of 5 years. If he holds the debenture for a complete duration of 5 years, so he'll get interest for 5 years. And the maturity value, which is M. Now these debentures have a provision for redemption at a premium of 5%. Just to give a recap, interest, dividend, premium and discount all are calculated on the face value. So face value is 100. On that 5% premium will be there. So in total he gets it 5 rupees premium plus the principal amount, that is par value. So on maturity he will get 105. And his required rate of return R is 15%. So what we need to do, we need to look for present value interest factor for an annuity at 15% as well as present value interest factor for the simple value or lump sum value at 15% and then use the formula. So let us see what is the table value for that. At 15% you have to keep the track. So this is our table. I hope you remember how to read this table. So our rate is 15%. So rate will come from this side and period is 5. So annuity factor you have to remember is 3.352 and lump sum value factor will come from here, which is for 5 years 0.497. So you have to remember these factors and now we can calculate value of that debenture. We can calculate here itself. So it means value of debenture is simple. He was getting 9 as interest every year multiplied by 3.352 plus he will get 105 at the end, which is multiplied by the PVIF. So now what will be his value? 9 multiplied by 3.352, 30.17 plus 105 multiplied by 0.497, 52.19. So 52.19 plus 30.17, that makes it 82.36. As you can see, in this case, the maximum price this investor is willing to pay is 82.36 rupees. Whereas company is issuing the debentures at 100 rupees. So for this investor, it is advised that he should not buy from the company. Now you might be surprised why he is ready to pay such a less amount. Now there is a one common fundamental with reference to the debentures. Now what is that common fundamental? We have something called as coupon rate. So coupon rate is also known as interest rate associated with the debenture. In this case, coupon rate was 9%, whereas investors' expected rate of return was 15%. So the moment investor is expecting more than the coupon rate, he is ready to pay less than the price of the face value or less than the par value. So always market value of these debentures will be at a discount to par value. Market value will be at a discount to par value. Whereas if an investor is there, he is expecting the same. So this 9% is the coupon rate, whereas investors are required rate of return. I have written on the right hand side. So whenever both are equal, debenture will trade at par. That means at par value or face value in the market. Or investors are willing to pay at the most par value. On the other hand, a situation may be there that investor is expecting less, whereas company is paying more. So debentures will be traded at a premium to par value. So this is a common fundamental you should remember while attempting the numericals or while solving the MCQs or conceptual aspects. Let me repeat it one. The moment expected rate of return is equal to the coupon rate, debentures will trade at par. The moment expected rate of return or investors required rate of return is greater than the coupon rate, debentures will trade or bonds will trade at a discount. Whereas when investors are expecting less and coupon rate is more, the bonds will trade at a premium. So this is the common fundamental we should remember. So that was the example of redeemable debentures. Let us proceed further. The second category of debentures, we have the deep discount bonds or zero coupon debentures. As we know, these are the debentures on which there is no provision for interest payment by the company. Rather, these are issued at a discount to par value and redeemed at par on maturity. That means year on year, company will not pay any interest. So there is a common fundamental. If someone buys these debentures, he is going to get only the maturity value. So how much he is ready to pay? He is ready to pay the present value of the maturity value. Therefore, for him, price which he is ready to pay maximum is present value of that maturity value, and that is the simple fundamental we can use to calculate the price of a debenture. That is deep discount bond. So we can take an example. So a deep discount bond of face value 10,000 is being issued at a discount of 60%. That means issue price by the company is, so issue price by the company is 400, sorry. 60% is the discount, so it will be 400. So issue price we have 1000 minus 600, that is 400. Being issued at a discount of 60%. These have a provision for redemption at par at the end of 6th year. If an investor has required rate of return 9%, so simple value he is ready to pay. So for him, value of this debenture is 1000, because 1000 will be the maturity value, multiplied by PVIF at 9% for 6 years. So we can work it out, this particular factor. So 1 upon 1.09 raised to the power of 6. So we get factor is like this, 1000 multiplied by 0.596. So for him, value is 596, whereas company is issuing to him at 400. So definitely more and more investors who are expecting 9% in this case are willing to buy for this debenture or willing to apply for this debenture from the company. So that is the simple fundamental of present value of lump sum amount we apply in case of valuation of deep discount bonds or zero coupon bonds. Let us proceed further. Then we have valuation of non-redeemable or perpetual debenture. Now, as you know, a perpetual debenture is the one in which there is a provision for payment of interest year on year till the life of the company or during the lifetime of the company. And we know no one can estimate up till what period company will survive. So we assume that if you buy the non-redeemable debenture of a company, you will get interest as a perpetuity. So in this case, value of a debenture is nothing but present value of that perpetuity which an investor is likely to get from the company in the form of year on year payment of interest. So value of perpetual debenture is simply I upon R. I is the annual interest which he is going to get, and R is investor's required rate of return. Let us assume that a face value of a debenture is 500. Coupon rate associated with the debenture is 16%. And these are non-redeemable debentures. So CR in this case means coupon rate. That means to say interest which an investor will get year on year till the lifetime of the company will be 16% of 500. That is rupees 80 per year. And he is not going to get back his money in normal circumstances. That is the principal amount. He will get the face value or par value only when company is closed down or winded up. That's what we don't assume that it will be happening in near future. So he will get a perpetuity of rupees 80 per year. If we assume that investor is expecting 20% return from his investment, so his R is 20. So we have two parameters with us. I is 80, R is 20. So we can get the value of debenture is 80 divided by 0.20. So how much he is ready to pay? He is ready to pay at the most 400 rupees for this debenture which has got a face value of 500. If there is another investor, he is expecting, let us say, 12%. So for him, coupon payment will remain the same because company will keep on paying interest at promised rate. It does not get affected by the investor's expectation. Now for this investor who is expecting 12% return, how much he is willing to pay? So 12% means 0.12. So 80 divided by 0.12. So he is ready to pay 667 at the most. That is the maximum price. On the other hand, an investor is there. He is expecting, let us say, 10%. So 80 divided by 0.10. So he is willing to pay 800. So this is how the function proceeds for the valuation of deep discount bonds or zero coupon bonds. So this is the illustration. Although I have explained another illustration, this illustration can also be worked out. So you can work it out very well on these ones. Then comes the another concept in valuation of debenture, that is valuation of convertible debentures. Now, as you know, a convertible debenture is the one in which there is no provision for the return of principal amount or the par value. Instead, these debentures have a provision for conversion into equity shares of the company on a future date. That is the conversion date. Now, in these debentures, year on year, company will keep on paying the interest up till the date of conversion. And the moment debentures happen to be due for conversion, company will take back the debenture certificate, and in lieu of those debentures, equity shares of the company will be issued. So how do we calculate the value of these debentures for an investor? So step one, we need to calculate interest which the investor is likely to get year on year from the company up till the date of conversion. Then step two, find out the time period, how long he will get the interest. Step three, we will find out what is investor's required rate of return. And then step four is there, find out the number of shares which he is going to get in lieu of each debenture. It may be 2 shares, 5 shares, 10 shares and something like that. And number last, we need to find out what is likely to be the price of the debenture on the redemption date or conversion date. So that price will be used to calculate the maturity value. Suppose a debenture is there of face value 100. Suppose a debenture is there of face value 100. This has a provision for conversion into 5 equity shares on the conversion date. Then each debenture is equal to 5 equity shares on the conversion date. Now, how do we arrive at the maturity value? That is the M which is going to be used in the formula. Simple, we need to find out what is likely to be the expected share price. So let me assume expected share price on the date of conversion is rupees 32. It means in lieu of each debenture, investor is going to get 5 equity shares. Each equity share is likely to have 32 rupees market price. So he is going to get as such rupees 160. So that will be M. Formula will remain the same as we had applied for the redeemable debentures. So let us see how the formula works. So this is the way value of a redeemable debenture as well as convertible debenture can be calculated. Same parameters are there, only one thing is left out. M you have to calculate, it is not given directly in the question as it was given in the redeemable debentures. How does M arrive? M is simply maturity value. So in this case, maturity value is simply like this. Maturity value will be number of equity shares on conversion times market price per share, market price of equity share. And I depicted few minutes ago, if one debenture gets converted into 5 equity share and expected market price per share on the date of conversion is 32, then definitely his M is equal to 160. So let us practice one numerical on that one. So here we have an example. 9% rupees face value 100 debentures having a provision for conversion at the end of 5 years into 4 equity shares of face value 10 each at a premium of 10 each. Remind you, at this moment on the date of conversion, nothing extra to be paid by the debenture holders. Each debenture will get converted into 5 equity shares. It is expected that the equity shares will have a market value of 33 per share on the date of conversion. If an investor's required rate of return is 12%, find out how much he is willing to pay for this particular debenture. So we can calculate that very easily. So I in this case is 9 every year. So by chance it is again 9. It need not to be 9 every time. And that means how long he will keep on getting these interest amounts for 5 years till the date of conversion. On conversion, what he gets? Each debenture is getting converted into 5 equity shares. So he is getting as good as something worth 165. 33 multiplied by 5. And his R is simply 12%. So the value which he will assign today is equal to 9 multiplied with PVIFA at the rate of 12% for 5 years plus 165 multiplied with PVIF at the rate of 12% for 5th year. So let us work out these two factors. So 1 upon 1.12 raised to the power of 5 gets me 0.567. So 165 multiplied with 0.567. So that will be the present value of maturity amount. And then annuity factor is 3.608. So 9 multiplied by 3.608. So that will give me the present value of all the coupon payments. So 9 by 3.608, 32.47. And 165 multiplied by 0.567, 93.56. It means the value which he will assign is 32.47 plus 93.56, 126.03. So this is the way price or value of a convertible debenture is calculated given the conversion provision and the number of shares he is going to get on the conversion and the expected market price per share on the date of conversion. So you can see very well there is no difference between the valuation of redeemable debentures and convertible. Only one extra parameter we calculated, that was how to find out M. Rest of the concept is the same. So far in debentures we have learnt about valuation of redeemable debentures, valuation of deep discount bonds or zero coupon bonds or zero coupon debentures, and valuation of convertible debenture, as well as valuation of non-redeemable or perpetual debentures. Let us proceed further. So far we have seen the valuation of debenture. Now we have the last part of this particular video, which is valuation of preference shares. From the angle of an investor, there is not much difference between the preference share and the debenture. In case of debenture, he is going to get the interest, and in case of preference share, he is going to get the dividend every year till the conversion date or the maturity date. Therefore, same fundamental of valuation of debenture can be applied with the minor difference in the formula. What will be the difference? I'll let you know. If you remember, when we were doing valuation of debenture, what was the formula? I multiplied with PVIFA at certain rate for nth period plus M multiplied with PVIF at certain rate for nth period. In this case, I was the interest every year and M was the maturity value. Let us assume same numerical is there. Every wording is same, but instead of debenture, we say it is preference share. So what will be the difference now? Value of a redeemable preference share, VP, is equal to D multiplied with PVIFA at certain rate for nth period plus M multiplied with PVIF at certain rate for nth period. It means only one change is there. Letter I is replaced with D, because in case of preference share, we are going to get the dividend. That means to say whether it is redeemable preference share, non-redeemable preference share, or convertible preference shares. These three category of preference shares generally we have. Same fundamental of debenture can be applied with the only replacement that interest gets replaced with the debenture. So my only submission to you is there. All the numericals which we have done on debenture, just remove the word debenture from that numerical or replace the word debenture with the preference share. Value will remain the same, everything will remain the same, formula just gets molded like this. Similarly, if it is non-redeemable debenture or preference share, we have D upon R. In case of debenture, what was the formula? Value of non-redeemable debenture was I upon R. So the only change is taking place. I is getting replaced with D. D stands for dividend per share every year to be paid by the company. So that is how the simple fundamental of the debenture valuation can get applied to the valuation of preference share. So practice those numericals. In the subsequent class, we'll go for the valuation of equity shares. That will be the second conceptual part of valuation of securities. And then in third and fourth lecture of valuation of securities, please don't miss it out. We will have an extensive practice of all the concepts learned for the valuation of securities, that is valuation of debenture, valuation of preference share, and valuation of equity share. Till then, keep on learning. Wish you good luck. Thank you.